We are what? We are who? We are what? Vibrant. We are who? 50 plus. Hi, welcome to Gray Lives on the Rise. I am your host, Professor Jamila Franklin, and we are coming to you from Oyende Enterprises, being sponsored by Jamila Sense, which is our product line of aromatherapy products that helps heal the mind, body, and soul. And we are bringing to you Alamaj's rebirthing program, as well as Jamila Sense, and a host of wonderful programs that will help heal your body, heal your soul, and heal your mind. 50 plus people, we are here to stay. Gray Lives on the Rise. We are what? We are who? We are vibrant, and we are here to stay. Join us for our wonderful episodes. Thank you, and continue to look for our episodes weekly, being brought to you again from Oyende Enterprises and Jamila Sense. See you soon. Greetings, everyone. Another episode on Gray Lives on the Rise. We're with the wonderful, wonderful guest, a dear friend of mine for over, Michelle, about 30 years now? I met Dr. Michelle Holmes when I was the director of multicultural affairs at Harvard Medical School. And Dr. Holmes had gone to Harvard Medical School. She'd gone to Harvard College. And she had also, she was working with me in terms of recruitment. I was recruiting medical students. So I'm going to get all into that, plus her illustrious background, after I do my little infomercial. I am Professor Jamila Franklin, and I am the CEO and the founder of Oyende Institute, Oyende Enterprises, and Oyende Enterprises is the company that is in charge of Gray Lives on the Rise, as well as Jamila Sense, and it is paying for these wonderful podcasts. So Jamila Sense gives this wonderful scent that Dr. Holmes has always bought. Peace Be Still is natural. All my products are natural. They're wonderful. You don't take them by mouth. You only put them in the palms of your hands, and you rub it in your palms of your hands like this. Rub it. And you inhale, Peace Be Still 10 times. It takes you to this wonderful euphoric place. You don't have to take a lot of things that people are taking in terms of dealing with depressants and whatever. I'm not a medical doctor. Dr. Michelle Holmes is, but I can tell you, go to my website, Oyende Enterprises, OYINDE, enterprises.com. You will see all of these wonderful testimonials and reviews. This stuff works, and you put it on your arms, and flies and mosquitoes won't come near you. It gets rid of stress, anxiety, depression, hyperactivity within children, panic attacks, PTSD, sinus congestion, sinus headaches, all kinds of things, premenstrual issues, menopausal issues, and it also calms down children. Everyone can take it. I even put it on the top of my kitty cats, my fur babies' heads when they get a little too active. You know what I mean? They're like, okay, it sedates them. So it's only lavender, lemongrass, and geranium. No chemicals involved in it. I've had this product for over 30 years. I'm a certified aromatherapist, a certified metaphysician, a certified Reiki master, an award-winning author, a college professor of psychology. I have my own clinical practice, and I'm really now focusing on healing ancestral trauma and some other things, because people are really going through a lot nowadays. And anything dealing with trauma, I'm dealing with my clients, and it's all safe in a safe environment. So I just love working with people and empowering people. And that's the reason why I wanted to have Great Lives on the Rise, because the 50+ generation has been ignored. You know, I looked up, I was walking one day and I got this download from Spirit, and it said, you need to do something about the 50+ generation because no one's paying attention to them. And I said, yeah, only in America, AARP, the Association for Retired Persons, and Medicare. Both of those are negative. Look at Dr. Michelle Holmes. Does she look like she's ready to retire? Does she look like she's ready to go to a home? Do I? No, we're not about to go to a retirement home. But those are only 2 organizations in this country that address our issues, and they don't address them fully. So in talking with friends of mine and talking with people whom I've met globally, they're having the same issues. People who are younger than us are being very disrespectful. They don't honor our wisdom. They're very arrogant, not all of them, but a lot of them. And if you desire to go back into the workplace, people are not putting down the years of graduation if they're 50+, because why? They won't hire you. They're ageist. So I said, okay, what I decided to do with the direction of the creator of the universe, God, Yahweh, Jehovah, Allah, whatever name you want to give that energy, it lives in me all the time, as well as in you. I decided to mobilize people globally. That was my directive. Spirit said, do it globally. This is a global issue. And you know what? I've had people, someone from Serbia, people from Australia coming on, New Zealand, America, you know, Belize, everywhere they're having the same issue. So I said, you know, we don't have to get mad. We just have to mobilize and spend our dollars amongst each other, help each other, because we're not going to be condescending, because we're all in the same age group. And it's working. It is working. Every time I have a podcast, people are just like, thank you. Thank you. It's across races, men are included. As a matter of fact, they've killed off the men. If you look at shows, you don't even see the men. I'm like, where are the men? They've killed them off, okay? And these are young people, but you know the irony, everyone who's in power now is 50+. The Obamas, you know, Kamala Harris, Vice President Biden. Look at all the athletes. Everyone in power is in that age group, and they're dismissing us. So I said, okay, let's mobilize. So having done that, said that, that's my intro. Okay, so now I'm going to bring on the wonderful, talented, beautiful Dr. Michelle Holmes. Like I said earlier, I've known her for over 30 years. I used to live in Boston. She was just a powerhouse. We clicked. She's a powerhouse. She's an alumna of the school, Harvard Medical School, where I worked as the director of multicultural affairs for 6.5 years. And Michelle was right there with me. Whenever I called her for advice or assistance, even when I left Harvard for recommendations, she never blinked an eye. She was right there, you know, supporting me. She's an activist. She, along with her wonderful husband, Derek Jackson, they are really, really powerhouses. And I'm so blessed that I know her and have had the opportunity to have consulted with her on a number of occasions while at Harvard, since Harvard. So I called her and said, Michelle, I want you to do this podcast. She didn't even blink an eye. And she's extremely busy. She's a researcher and author. She's extremely busy in addition to knowing a lot about the medical profession. So today she's going to talk about a very, very interesting topic. The title of her topic is The Dangers of PFAS and what you can do about it. She's going to tell you what that is. Now I'm going to give you some background information. Dr. Holmes spent several years practicing primary care medicine in the South Bronx and among a largely immigrant population in Cambridge, a neighborhood health center in Cambridge. Mid-career, she transitioned to full-time epidemiology research. Her research includes lifestyle factors such as diet, weight change, physical activity, and psychosocial factors, common medications such as aspirin, affecting the quality of life and survival after a cancer diagnosis, as well as the association between diet and breast cancer risk. This is really important, particularly with people of color. This is just really, I mean, hitting us like, I mean, like a tidal wave. So this is really important. In the 2000s, she has helped to design a collaborative longitudinal study of non-communicable disease, obesity. These are things that affect people of color, okay? Listen to me, even if you're not a person of color. The SAD diet, the standard American diet, is causing a lot of problems, people. Visiting these fast food places is killing you. Okay, but anyway, I digressed. Okay, obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, cancer at 5 sites in sub-Saharan Africa called the Africa Harvard School of Public Health Partnership for Cohort Research and Training, PaCT. She was the co-principal investigator of the aspirin for breast cancer trial, testing whether treating breast cancer patients with aspirin will prevent their breast cancer from recurring. Since 2011, she has also been a principal consultant for Visions, Inc., a women and people of color-owned nonprofit facilitating issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion for organizations of all sizes. An avid outdoors woman, she cares deeply about nature, the environment, climate control, and racial, gender, and class inequalities in those spaces. Now, let me tell you something. This is just not something that someone put together. No, this is truth. I know her. Every time I am communicating with Michelle, at least 2 or 3 times a year, she's out canoeing. She's walking these nature trails. I mean, not just in the neighborhood, I mean, like miles. She's doing all these wonderful things. She's just recently been certified as a yoga instructor. She just keeps reinventing herself. Okay, I'm just so impressed with her. I'm saying, Michelle, I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed. I tell her all the time. And her husband too, they're always doing these things. And that's why I was so concerned when they try to pigeonhole us, because Michelle and Derek can outpace most of the people half their age, okay? Because they're active and they're out there doing things, you know, not only for themselves, but for the environment and for people of color. Every time there's something that's dealing with inequality up in the Massachusetts area where they live, Michelle is right there. And I so admire and love her for that. So having said all that, Michelle.
Ooh, that's a lot. That's a lot.
You know, she's just amazing. I mean, the last thing she said, you know, she went for a 2-week, I think 2-week yoga training. I said, girl, what else did she? And then she went somewhere else to deal with plant medicines with some women. I'm like, I can't keep up with her. You know, so I'm amazed. I'm just so impressed. Thank you.
You're
Oh,
so
without
welcome.
further
You're
ado.
welcome. But I want to, before I talk about the topic, which is the topic that I said I would talk about, I just want to give a little plug for your product, the Peace Be Still. So you were saying, you know, you rub it on your hands and so forth. You know what I'm using it for now? So I make a mat spray for my yoga mat. And
Oh,
and it's a combination of witch hazel and water and Peace Be Still. And I spray that on my mat and I can smell it. And I'm like, it helps me with my practice.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know what? I'm going to get in touch with some yoga institutes and say, my dear friend, Dr. Michelle Holmes is using this. Okay, why don't you think about this? Hey, income generator. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And you also use
So,
it in your
and I also want to say that I appreciate your targeting the audience of people over the age of 50. I have this very good friend by the name of Margaret Gillette. She's in her 80s and she is an activist against ageism. She's written a whole bunch of books and stuff, and she says that ageism is the last acceptable ism, right?
Yes.
So even, you know, it's not really so acceptable to joke about people's race, gender, and whatnot. But everybody, even us older people, joke about being old.
Yes,
And
that's true.
it's not funny.
It's not, Michelle.
It's internalized oppression. So
It
bless
is.
you for having a podcast that's targeted to this our audience.
Yeah, I don't subscribe to TikTok, but it's on everybody's phone. They put things on here that you don't even want, right? You don't even desire to have on your phone.
Mm-mm.
So I saw some of the little reels, and they have these older women who, I'm a therapist, a mental health therapist, and they're probably borderline experiencing dementia, and their
Mhm.
families are putting them on these older people to make money because they're
Mhm.
saying things that are kind of inappropriate, right?
Mm.
There's some truth to what they're saying, but if they were in their quote unquote complete holistic minds, they wouldn't make those comments because they would know that they were being the butt of a joke. But yeah,
Mhm.
the families are putting them on, and I
Yeah.
think that's deplorable. Putting
It's
them
really.
on so people can laugh at them. And these women and men are their parents or grandparents, and the women gave birth to them. So now you're turning around and making a mockery out of them because they're not in their right minds. So I
Mhm.
said, no, 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 we're going to stop that. And because they're exploiting people, and
Yeah.
half of them are not giving them the money. They're
Mhm.
exploiting them and taking the money. So yeah, yeah, I would love to talk to your friend and have her on, yeah,
Well, later
because
on, I'll let you know about her. Yeah.
yeah, I would love to
She
talk with
might
her.
be interested in that.
So
Okay,
now
so
let's.
you came to me and said, "Oh, Michelle, I want you on my podcast, and you can pick whatever you want to talk about." And I'm like, "Oh, what do I want to talk about?" So I decided I wanted to talk about this topic, and I'm going to tell you a little later. I'm going to tell you a story how I became kind of, you know, this really came into my consciousness during the pandemic, and I'll tell you
Hmm,
about that later. But I find that very few people know about what we call PFAS.
right, right.
It's these four, PFAS, and that stands for a long chemical name, per polyfluoroalkyl substances, and it's a whole bunch of chemicals, but it goes by PFAS, and you may have heard it referred to as forever chemicals because they cannot be gotten rid of. They do not break down. They do not, fade away, whether they're in the environment or whether they're in our bodies. And let me tell you
Yeah.
something, 99% of them, 90%, 99% of us have it in our bodies. And um, and what I'm going to tell you is all very mainstream science. There have been, a lot of mainstream scientists that have studied this. I mean, in
Mm,
preparing for this podcast, I went to some, very, plain vanilla sources like Consumer Reports,
yeah.
Green, what do they call it? Green Science Policy Institute. So these are like, I mean, this is not some fringe stuff, right? This is,
Mhm.
Harvard School of Public Health. This is mainstream stuff, but it's so kind of overwhelming that I think people aren't taking it in. Okay.
Mm, mm,
So these substances are linked to a whole lot of health problems. It just boggles my mind how many health problems in both adults and children. So as
wow.
the elders in the community, I think it's our duty to, carry the wisdom traditions to be caring not only about ourselves, but our children and our grandchildren and our communities.
Hmm.
So these substances are linked to multiple cancers, including prostate cancer, testicular cancer, kidney cancer, breast cancer, and thyroid cancer.
Wow.
They are linked to kidney disease. They are linked to immune suppression. And it is known that children that have higher levels of it in their blood have more sicknesses. And if they get vaccines, the vaccines don't take as well because their immune systems don't respond to the vaccines. It
Mm,
is they are associated with reproductive problems, so a 40% decrease in fertility and low birth weight.
mm,
You can't make this up, right?
wow.
And they're linked to things like high blood pressure and high cholesterol. And remember that because I'm going to tell you a story about the cholesterol. So all kinds of diseases.
Mm,
Like I said, 99% of it 99% of us have this in our bodies. Okay, where did this all come from? So these chemicals have been used for quite a while, and they're used for two things that are very, very ubiquitous in our environment. Fireproofing things, and
mm,
also water resistance and grease resistance. So
mm,
now we're talking about a huge amount of consumer products. Um, and because it's in all these consumer products, it gets off of them, leaches into the dust, the air, and into the water systems.
mm,
So one of the ways that we get very exposed to it is through our drinking water.
mm,
So, I will say that the federal government is starting to regulate this, and people in the know. So, all right, so let me get to the like, okay, what can you do about this? Because it's like so everywhere, it's so overwhelming.
mhm,
So the first thing is to be concerned about it in your drinking water. And some towns in the know, I happen to live in Cambridge, Massachusetts, a very savvy town with a lot of educated people. So the federal government mandates that you have to test your drinking water for it. So your town should have test results of it in the drinking water. And the federal government has some legislation, some rules that is going to force towns over time to limit it in your water. But the savvy
mm,
towns say, oh no, we're not going to wait for that. We want it limited now. And we want it at lower levels than what the federal government is going to mandate, because the levels that the federal government mandate are still levels that cause toxicity. It's just low.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
So I'm very, very fortunate. My town 2 years ago decided to limit it in our drinking water. We have our own reservoir, and they
mm,
bought a very, very, very expensive filter system
mhm.
to filter it out of our drinking water. So
Wow.
I feel fortunate, and I would say if folks want to do something about it, then the first step is to be activist about your town drinking water supply, to say what you doing about, what's the level, I think there are places
Mhm,
you can look it up, what's the
mhm,
level in my water and what you're going to do about it, because it's poisoning us and our children and our grandchildren. And we don't want to wait for the federal levels. We want you to do something about it now, if you can do
mhm.
that. Now, if your town will not, I believe, and I don't have a lot of information on this because I don't have to do this because my town did it. I believe you can buy filters for your home that can filter your drinking water. You have high
That's what I
level.
was going to
Yeah,
say. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So there is something you can do about it. But let's talk about all the other, oh, let me talk about something else. Let's talk about disparities, right?
Yeah,
Racial
yeah, yeah.
disparities,
Oh, yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Because,
Oh,
um,
and one quick thing too,
yeah,
Michelle. There, a lot of people now are buying their water, buying drinking water.
yeah.
So should they be concerned
It's
about
not,
that?
you don't know you, that will not guarantee it because you don't know where it's coming from.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know,
So is
you
there
know,
a
when you
test?
buy water, you're buying some other town's water. You don't know what that town did with their water. You don't even know where that company got that water from.
That's true. So where is there a home test that people can
No,
buy?
no,
To,
no, you can't test it at home. Your city should do it. I'm pretty sure the federal government mandates that the city should do it, and that they have the results. They've probably already done it, but they're just not they're not going to broadcast it until you ask.
mhm.
Yeah.
So buying drinking water does not exempt you from this issue.
It does not help you because for
Okay.
all you know, they're buying it from someplace worse.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, the company that is bottling it. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two, I want to talk about, like in all these environmental things. There's an element of racial and ethnic disparity and environmental justice.
Yes.
Because, all right, so these
As we saw
chemicals,
in Flint, Michigan.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But
That was
so,
a big,
yeah, that was lead,
example.
but this is also the PFAS, right? So in Flint, they were poisoned by the lead, which is terrible, bad. But I'm talking about the PFAS, and that has also got racial disparities because, so of course, you know, the big manufacturing companies, whereas all manufacturers all situated near Black and Latinx communities. Not only that, these industrial, so like the military is a big user of these chemicals for fire retardant. And military bases are situated next to communities of color, okay, and other manufacturing. So it has been found that people of color have higher levels than white people because of this. Okay, so it is an environmental justice issue as well, as well as like most all environmental issues are environmental. So the last part I want to talk about, and this is the part where people like don't know, is to talk about the everyday consumer products, multiple everyday consumer products that contain these these toxins. And so so now I'm going to tell you my little story during the pandemic. So we were locked down during the pandemic. You know, we weren't going anywhere. We were just the two of us, you know. And we get much of our food, we subscribe to some farms. And so the farm, you know, the vegetables would come in a box, a cardboard box, you know, and we were just eating at home for like 18 months. And during the pandemic, my primary care provider emailed me and said, we haven't checked your cholesterol in a long time. We want you to come and get your cholesterol checked. And I'm like, oh, really? During the pandemic? Well, I'm not going into the hospital. Well, anyway, so I went. And my cholesterol was not even high. Normally, Jamila, it went down 24 points. 24 points. That's incredible. I've never seen anyone's cholesterol go down 24 points. In fact, when I was doing primary care in the neighborhood health center, I would always tell people, oh, you know, your cholesterol's high, eat a good diet and it'll go down. It never will go down. And I didn't really believe you could do it. So I said, 24 points. That's crazy. It was normal before and then it was low. So I said to my husband, I said, Derek, and his cholesterol tends to be a little high, right? Yeah, he spent a lot of time eating bacon and he doesn't eat that anymore, but he did. And I said, you know what? Call your doctor up and ask if you can have your cholesterol checked. He went in, his cholesterol went down 30 points.
Whoa.
30 points. I said, okay, what's going on here? It's the pandemic. My cholesterol goes down 24 points. Your cholesterol goes down 30 points. I never heard of it going down so low. And the only thing we're doing is that we're at home all the time. We're never going out. We didn't get any takeout. I know sometimes they said, oh, you should support the restaurants by getting takeout and stuff. We got no takeout for 18 months. I said, that's what it's going to be because that's what's different.
Yeah.
And what's, you know, and then our son one of our sons is a chef and he says, oh yeah, takeout's full of butter. But, you know, we always get like the healthy takeout. You know, we got the vegetarian, the Indian place down the street and all this. We always got healthy takeout. They're like, what is it? I said, Derek, I think it's the containers. The containers have PFAS and PFAS raises your cholesterol.
Wow. Okay, listeners, are you listening to her? All of you people go to Burger King and all that, and they put the stuff in these little containers, styrofoam and paper. Yeah, talk about the paper ones too.
Yeah, let me talk about that. And so I just want to say that when I was getting ready to talk to you today, I went online, I was searching, because this has been my theory, and people say, oh, Michelle, you lost your mind, right? This is crazy. There's a study now that proved it. They did a national study. They called the NHANES study, National Health and Nutrition Survey. It's a federal study, which they do periodically. They survey thousands of people and they measure stuff in their blood and whatnot. They surveyed thousands of American people and asked them how often you eat takeout. The more you eat takeout, the higher the PFAS is in your blood.
Yeah,
So
I
said,
believe it.
"See, I sussed it out. I knew it."
I believe it.
So think about this. Now, I will say, at Harvard School of Public Health, they have takeout containers, but they're nice containers, right? They're brown paper, organic, compostable containers. No, because if you think about it, if you took paper and you put anything in it, salad dressing or anything, it'd soak right through, right?
Yeah.
So in order to not soak through, there has to have a coating. That coating is PFAS. Every single one of them. Your paper plate, your coffee cup. See, I use this one. But your paper coffee cup, your paper plate, your Burger King wrapper, your
Wow.
microwavable popcorn thing, bag that you put in it.
Yeah.
To keep the grease from coming through.
Yeah.
Every one of them coated with PFAS. And think of how much it's raising your cholesterol. If I go 18 months without eating takeout because of COVID, and we weren't even eating a lot before then, like not even once a week, right? And our cholesterol goes down 24 and 30 points. That was like that was my wake up. That was
Yeah. Yeah.
like, whoa, that stuff is potent.
Oh yeah. And it's everywhere. It's
everywhere.
insidious. That's the thing about it.
Let me talk about some other things it's in. So food wrappings, big time. Here's one: non-stick cookware. You have frying pans. You want your eggs to flip over easy, whatnot. That stuff is PFAS.
Yeah.
So I got rid of all that.
So it should be just stainless steel.
Stainless steel,
iron.
cast iron.
Yeah, and iron. Yeah.
Yep. Don't microwave in plastic. That
I don't microwave, period. I don't use a microwave,
right.
period.
You listeners and whatnot. Okay, so here's another one. This blew my mind. Yoga pants.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of clothes, but yoga pants in particular is a source in us women because the pants fit close to the skin and it soaks in. So, these are the synthetic yoga pants. You can get some that are some natural fibers, whatnot.
Where would you get things like that? You just have to go online and look for something that's 100% cotton,
yeah,
or linen, or
wool. I have some that's wool.
Oh my God, wool just I'm allergic to.
Oh no, they have soft, beautiful kinds now.
Okay, because I just couldn't. Yeah.
Oh no, I love it. Best thermal. It's very thermoregulating, cool in the summer. Oh, this T-shirt is wool, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And my T-shirt is cotton.
Yes, because you have the Gray Lives,
Yeah.
Gray Lives on the Rise one. Yes.
Gray Lives on the Rise. Okay. So
the other thing, so I know there was a time when I would buy furniture and my kids were little. I'd like, oh, give me that stain resistant furniture. That stain resistance, it's all PFAS. The foam inside the furniture. Now, I think they stopped making the foam like in 2015. So
Mm-hmm.
you can get non-PFAS foam now, but it was all about flame retardant.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so anything that's water resistant, so like raincoat, or for me, you heard that I like a lot of outdoor activities, like our tents, our sleeping bag, all that stuff water resistant is all
Mm-hmm.
PFAS. I mean, it's like it blows your mind. Like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, yeah. It's everywhere. Like it's
Here's
insane.
one, here's
So
one more
yeah.
that you can advocate in your town or even in your yard. Artificial turf,
Oh.
PFAS. So
Mm,
don't be putting artificial grass in your yard. I know I have family members like, oh, I don't want to be mowing the lawn, so I'm putting down some plastic grass. Oh no.
mm-hmm.
Don't be putting it in your yard. Don't let your kids, your grandkids play on it. And I know in some very savvy, well-off towns where the town residents are advocating that the parks in the school don't put it in, like, the soccer field, the football field and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, we don't want our kids playing on that. It's
Mm-hmm.
um so because personal care products, so
Mm.
cosmetics and body wash and stuff like that, you can look on their labels, and if you see something that says polyfluor or like PTFE, that means it's in there. So,
Mm-hmm.
stick with some natural products. Don't be going with that stuff.
Mm. Natural deodorants and things like that. I have a friend. I think you were doing this at one point too, Michelle. I have a friend here who makes a
Yeah.
natural deodorant with clay. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And dental floss. Especially the
Mm.
kind, that nice slippery kind that really slides through your teeth.
Mm.
PFAS. And think about it. You're up there flossing your teeth. Sometimes your gums bleed a little bit. You're like
Mm.
introducing it right into your body. So
Wow.
there are natural dental flosses. I now use one that's kind of like hemp and covered with
Mm-hmm.
wax and whatnot. But not PFAS.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's everywhere, it's in our dust in our home. So I've seen that folks advise when you're doing cleaning in your home to dust with wet mops to pick it up and not
Mm.
liberate it all in the air. And
Mm.
um, to consider, I mean, I don't have this. I know some people with like a lot of allergens have HEPA filters on their vacuum
Yeah.
cleaner and all that. Um, and in your HVAC system, if you have, your heating system, your air conditioning system, that you can put a HEPA filter on that. That helps.
So HEPA filters are good.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, they collect
Okay.
them. So
Okay.
those are the main things I wanted to say about it, that there's this sort of the option to be kind of activists in your community about your water system, the artificial turf in your parks and things like that, and then things you can do in your own life in your home by
Mm-hmm.
avoiding these food wrappers and nonstick cookware and yoga pants.
Yeah.
I mean, everything. Mindful of the stuff you floss your teeth with. And just, I mean, just it seems, I mean, from personal experience, it seems like one really small change made a huge difference in our health.
Yeah. I mean, your testimony is amazing. Just not eating out and not having the food in those boxes coated with this chemical.
Right.
It's so the thing that I love about this, Michelle, is that you have a personal testimony. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
because you're an avid researcher,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not that you just read this, you have personally experienced it. So people can't dismiss it and say, oh, well, yeah, that happened over there, but it hasn't happened to anyone that I know. It's not real, because people tend to not relate to things if it's not in front of their faces. If they
Mm-hmm.
don't know someone who is experiencing something,
Mm-hmm.
then they dismiss it. But having experienced it yourself and having you look at all the different ways in which this thing is creeping into our lives.
Mm.
And people, they say, well, what can we do? And the first thing people do is they go into denial. The second thing they do is just feel hopeless and say, well, I can't do anything. And this is what people used to say years ago about their diet. Well, I'm going to die of something, so I may as well die happy, eating whatever. And I would tell people, I have not seen a cancer patient who was ready to die. Once it hits,
Yes.
and they could have changed it, all of that arrogance goes out the window. So what Dr. Holmes is saying today is just so important. Is there an organization that people can join?
There are lots of organizations, and I will say, just in preparing for this talk, I said, let me, I want something that's like very kind of accessible.
Exactly.
So honestly, consumer reports. So I just Googled, PFAS resources for lay people or something like that, because it's a lot of scientific stuff. And Consumer Reports has a series of like 4 or 5 different articles that are very accessible. They're not behind their paywall. They're just right out there in the web. You just go Consumer Reports, PFAS, and they're very straightforward. And they go through a lot of the stuff, what I just told you. And they've been around forever, and
they have been.
they're not like, they're not like a crazy organization. So I would go there, and then from there you can find other things. There's this thing called let me just see, I wrote it down. Green Science Policy Institute. They had some good resources and suggestions about, do this, don't do that, very practical. So I would say those two, Consumer Reports and Green Science Policy Institute, are good web resources for people. But if you look around, it's been written about. It's been written about in like, ordinary media. Universities have studied it, the federal government has studied. It just doesn't get a lot of like publicity. Frankly, even, I talk about it to my doctor friends, they're not even aware of it, right? It's just, I don't know what it is. It's just, I guess it's so kind of overwhelming and everywhere that
I think
people just like shut down, like say like, oh, I can't do anything about it.
Yeah. And I think too, people have so many distractions in their lives. And so it's like, okay, this is another thing I have to worry about or think about, and I don't have the skill sets to really know what to do. How can I stop it? So it's like what cancer was about 20 to 30 years ago. People kind of knew about it, but it was remote. They didn't know anyone personally that had it. So they didn't really they didn't really worry about it. But when it came closer and closer and got into their families, then they started making dietary changes. They started doing things differently because it became in their faces. The same thing with this. As it keeps, and also too, people are very naive by thinking things on the outside of them, the federal government and everyone else, it's going to regulate it. That's what they used to say about tobacco. If tobacco were really bad, the government wouldn't allow people, the tobacco industry to sell cigarettes and whatever. 10 years later, all those tobacco companies got sued. Now they have to have an advisory on all of the packages. You can't give your power to something external to you. You're on the web anyway, beloveds. You are on the web. You're looking up things that have nothing to do with your everyday life or your health. You're looking at these reality shows and some other things for entertainment. Please start listening to people like Dr. Holmes and start doing things that you can do, because she's giving you the Consumer Reports. You can buy it, or because I used to buy it, and they have information about everything. And they're online now. Most of these sources and resources, you look at Consumer Reports, they also have references. So you can just go down the rabbit hole and find these other things, because you're doing it anyway. You're doing it for the latest outfits, the latest, whatever. You're doing it anyway.
Mm.
So do things that are going to help you not only live longer, but have a quality of life. For the 50 plus, it's not just because we are living longer, but we would like to have a better quality of life. You don't have to be on all these meds. If you know things in advance, you can just stop it. Your cookware, go to secondhand stores, Goodwill, they have all of this stuff. You don't even have to buy a brand new. And they have it on sale. Labor Day, they always have Labor Day sales, after Christmas sale. They have this stuff on sale. So get rid of the non-stick cookware. And I have to be better about that because, I'm in a temporary location now, but I'm serious about that. Iron, yeah, it stains, but whatever. And the good thing about iron is when you use iron pots and pans, it gives the iron, puts it into your system. So it's a double benefit.
Yes.
Get rid of all those things and the clothing and the hair products. Just really start doing the research. You have the time, beloveds, you're 50 plus, some of you are retired. Just start researching and doing things that are better for your health and pass it down to your children and your grandchildren so they don't have to die unnecessarily. I know certain cities, like I'm from Memphis originally, and they have this wide range of women that were dying from cancer, breast cancer. Is there something going on there? I don't live there. If I were living there, believe me, it would be something done about it. I said it's either something in the water. I said something going on. Because every time I was listening to friends, someone, primarily female, was dying from breast cancer. I said, it's something going on here. And no one really was looking at it seriously and seeing the causal relationship between breast cancer and these early deaths. So we have to really start taking our health seriously. Yeah, because we're seasoned, golden, and mature, but also even if we were not, we need to, people spend more time on their shoes and money on their shoes, men on their cars, okay? They're gonna get their car checked out, they're gonna have the latest rims, they're gonna wash the car routinely. Take charge of your health. You do not have to be a statistic. You do not.
I appreciate that you bring up like the tobacco analogy and the government gonna regulate it. So the government is in the process of regulating these chemicals, but they slow, right? So we can be ahead of the curve. We are ahead of the curve now. No, there's not much. They will regulate it, and we don't want to wait.
Exactly, because you may not be around. That's the whole thing.
That's the truth.
You may not be around because I'm seeing the mortality rates, and then I tell people, they're not in charge of your body. You're in charge of your body. People, well, they didn't tell me. I said, wait a minute. You window shop for your clothes. You do all of this research for your cars, right? Most men are not going to go to a car dealership without having done massive research.
Right.
Women, the same thing for clothing. Do it for your health. They are not in charge of your health. They should not be leading you in terms of things dealing with your health. They can be, a co-pilot on this, but you're the main pilot. You do it for everything else, So you have to make you a priority. We have to take this seriously. Dr. Holmes did the research. She is powerful. She doesn't bring anything to me that she hasn't researched. She's connected with the Harvard School of Public Health. She went to Harvard Medical School. Her background is science. So this is not fluff. This is not ooh. No, it is not.
No, this is real deal. And I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about it because it just amazes me how little folks know about something that is really a really big health risk in so many realms. I'm talking about cancer and infertility and immune function and high blood pressure and cholesterol, just like everything, So we got to know about it and take some agency.
I so appreciate you, Dr. Holmes. So in closing, how can people get in touch with you? What's the contact information? What would you like to leave?
If you Google my name, and Harvard. You'll get my work. You can find my work related email, which I can also give you, but it's a mouthful. It's a long one.
We will put it in the section underneath. Just send it to
Okay.
me and we will
I'll send it to you.
include it. Yeah,
It's
we will
just like,
include it.
I don't know why they have such long email addresses. But yeah, that's how you can find me.
So it's Dr. Michelle Holmes, and if you can spell that for them. It's on the screen, but
Yeah.
still.
Oh yeah, my name is there on the Zoom screen.
Yeah.
Michelle with 2 L's Holmes. And yeah, and if you do Michelle Holmes Harvard, you'll come up with my work related address, email address. But I'll give it to you, Jamil, and you can put it on the website.
Yeah, I will.
Mhm.
So what's your takeaway with this? What would you like for them to know?
Yeah.
Last 2 minutes.
Empower yourself with some knowledge, because there are things you can do. I mean, even if it's as little as getting rid of your Teflon fry pan, you know, you can do that. Get yourself. My mother gave me this beautiful cast iron frying pan. You know, I realized that they actually changed the manufacturing of frying pans, cast iron frying pans now. So she had one. It's so smooth, it's like glass. I'm like, oh, this is the best.
Wow.
They don't make them that way anymore. I have some newer cast iron frying pans. They're kind of rough, you know.
Yeah, they
I
are.
get it like my mother's. You can't, because they don't make them like that anymore. So,
Yeah.
our mothers knew what they were doing. They knew
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Growing up, that's all they cooked with
That's right.
were cast iron skillets and pots and pans. And
Exactly.
now we got to the place where we want things quick and easy with Teflon, and this is causing us our lives. So we have
No. You got to get a good cast iron frying pan and season it, right? And then it will be nonstick.
Right, you put the oil on it, right? Yeah. Go see you young folk who are trying to dismiss us. You don't know these tricks. Hello.
Right.
Okay. We know the tricks. Okay. But Dr. Michelle Holmes, my dear friend and colleague, I am so appreciative of the information that you've shared with us today.
Thank you.
And it's much needed. And we are going to have people go to the website, look up your research and look up all these other things and empower others. Each one, teach one.
Yeah.
So beloveds that are listening, please share this free podcast with everyone and make sure that you come back every Sunday and join us from 7 to 8 Eastern Standard Time. We have amazing Gray Lives plug. Gray Lives on the Rise cups. Dr. Holmes has her cup that she uses every day. We have shirts, cups, we have doormats, we have cosmetic bags, we have what else? We have pillows, we have stickers you can put on your computers. Go to the store, OyendeEnterprises.com. Gray Lives on the Rise is listed there. You'll see the store. And this is a movement. It's not just about a podcast. It's a movement, a consciousness raising movement to change not only other people's perceptions about us, but our own perceptions. So we don't have to continue to accept the stereotypes. We are not old, we're not elderly, we're not decrepit. We are seasoned, we are golden, and we're mature. Okay, beloveds. Have a great one. Thank you. Until next time.
Right.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Gray Lives on the Rise, being brought to you by Jamila Scents, which is the product line of Oyende Enterprises. Jamila Scents is a 100% natural aromatherapy line that heals the mind, body, and soul. This episode of Gray Lives on the Rise was intended to uplift you, to inspire you, and to motivate you. Please tell all of your friends, family members, and anyone you know who's 50 plus, who's living a vibrant life and interested in doing more and enjoying life even to its fullest. So thank you, and please subscribe, like, and comment on this video and all our videos. Thank you, and until next time, until our next podcast, namaste and be well.